Hey, Waffle Crew. I hope you're all doing great. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into some fresh Reddit tales. If you're a fan of Reddit stories, why not give that like button a tap, hit subscribe, and maybe ring that notification bell too. Let's get right into our first story. Big love to you all. Now, this first tale might sound familiar from other corners of the internet, but it's got some new twists. If you want to jump straight to the story, feel free to do so. Timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. Thanks. This one comes from Stunning Creator 321 titled, Would I Be Wrong for Not Forgiving My Spouse for Betraying Me with His Former Wife? I'm a wreck and could use some guidance. Any advice is welcome. I'm 27 male and my husband 37 male have been married for 3 years, together for 6. He has an ex-wife, 37, female, whom he divorced a year before we met. We adopted a son, 7, male, after tying the knot, and I love him as my own. My husband, let's call him David, is bisexual, which I've always been fine with, and I had no issues with his ex-wife, let's call her Sarah. However, his family is a bit prejudiced, always nudging David to reconnect with Sarah. 2 weeks ago, we were in his family's town for our son Jake's birthday, wanting to celebrate together. My mother-in-law thought it'd be nice to invite Sarah, who showed up mid-party. Not wanting to spoil Jake's day, I kept quiet and focused on playing with him and his cousins, as he wanted. When it was time to cut the cake, I noticed David and Sarah were missing. I searched the house and found them in David's old room, undressing. I froze in shock for a moment, then left to keep Jake's birthday joyful. I wanted to scream, but I refused to let my pain overshadow his day. We cut the cake and opened gifts. By the time David and Sarah returned, guests were leaving. David pulled me aside, upset that I cut the cake without him, saying it was rude. I looked at him and said, "Sorry, I thought you were too busy getting cozy with your ex." He went silent. I took Jake and headed to our hotel. After putting Jake to bed, I locked myself in the bathroom and broke down, calling a friend who did his best to comfort me. I only calmed down by morning, taking Jake to breakfast, not wanting him to see me upset. Now, watching Jake play at the park, I don't want him to suffer or think relationships are doomed. David's been calling and texting apologies, and I'm tempted to forgive him to keep our family whole. Friends say it was a mistake, that he was vulnerable and Sarah's his ex. So what do? I need advice from strangers who don't know us personally. Let's be real. This wasn't a mistake. They chose to sneak off and start undressing. Then David had the nerve to scold me for cutting the cake while he was with his ex. Unbelievable. You're worried about Jake, but the comments will likely say teaching him self-respect sometimes means walking away. How do you rebuild trust? Jake will sense that distrust eventually. The top comment said, show Jake that his future partner must respect him and their relationship by not cheating. OP replied, I want to teach him this, but he's so young, and I fear he'll see relationships negatively if we divorce. On gathering evidence of David's cheating, OP said, from texts and calls, this happened twice, including when I caught them. I hadn't thought about STIs. Thanks, I'll get tested. On why he didn't confront them, OP said, I was too shocked and hurt. I just stood there, unnoticed, then heard Jake and focused on him. Maybe a coping mechanism? I was on autopilot. Another commenter said, you're not wrong, but you should leave. Staying shows Jake, it's okay for a partner to mistreat you. Teach him to chase goals with honesty and integrity. Kids are more perceptive than we think, and staying with a cheater risks your health with STIs. If friends are pushing you to forgive, they're not safe. They might have known about this. OP's first update came later. Thanks for the advice. It's opened my eyes. To clarify, 1. David and Sarah didn't see me. Music was loud, and they weren't facing the door. 2. I didn't stop them because I was in shock and focused on Jake. 3. David didn't come to the hotel. I switched to another one and left by taxi. He's staying with his parents, and Sarah left. 4. We met when I was 20. He was 30, as friends, then dated. I wasn't groomed. Now, the update. I got STI tests, results pending, and I'll retest in 3 weeks. Jake's at a sleepover, and I spoke with David at our house. He asked about Jake, then we talked. I cried, he cried. I asked when, why, how often. He said it first happened 2 years ago when he visited his parents alone. They invited Sarah, They got drunk, and he felt neglected since I focused on Jake post-adoption. It happened again at Jake's party. He claims his mom pressured him, but I doubt that's all. He says he doesn't love Sarah, and I believe him, but it doesn't erase his actions. I told him I want a divorce because I can't trust him. He begged for another chance, but I said no. He got furious, blamed Jake, said we shouldn't have adopted him. I'd never seen him so angry. He hit the table and stormed out. I warned Jake's friend's parents not to let David in, fearing for Jake's safety. My friend Thomas is staying with me while I plan the divorce. Top comment on this. You're not wrong for not forgiving him. Blaming Jake shows his true colors. Prioritize your and Jake's safety. Another said, with his reaction, full custody seems likely. One loving parent is better than a resentful co-parent. A final comment. He takes no accountability and blames Jake. Remember this when you miss him. Move on from this toxic man. 11 days later, OP updated. It's been chaotic. David's been showing up at my work following me using burner phones. He said he missed when it was just us, that I stopped focusing on him after Jake, that he missed my dependence. I was insecure when we met but worked on it for Jake. I used to be sick often, weak, tired, until after we adopted Jake. Yesterday he followed me to work screaming I was his. Security intervened, but he waited by my car. I took a taxi home. He keeps messaging and showing up. I took time off work to be with Jake, who's handling this better than me. I booked therapy for him and will go myself post-divorce. I'll update when there's news. Top comment. Great job prioritizing Jake and therapy. David's stuck in the past, but you're doing what's best. A month and a half later, OP posted a final update. It's been tough, but I'm nearly divorced, with primary custody of Jake and restraining orders against David and Sarah. After my last post, David kept stalking me. While packing his stuff, I found photos of me from 3 to 4 years before we met, when he was still married to Sarah. I messaged her. She said they divorced because she caught him stalking my Facebook and found those photos. He called it a crush, but she thought he cheated. A year later, he met me, and she assumed I was the other man. Some suggested he made me sick. I don't know. I was bedridden with cold-like symptoms, but I stopped digging. Confronting David, he seemed proud, saying it was love at first sight, that we met as teens on a school trip. I vaguely recall meeting him at a party, but he remembered me from earlier. I was horrified. My marriage felt like a lie. He said he cheated to get my attention, offered to be a better dad if I quit my job. I considered it briefly, but remembered his lies and obsession. He got aggressive when I insisted on divorce, screaming I needed him. I slapped him, and a neighbor called the police. I filed a restraining order. David contested the divorce to drag it out, even offering child support despite 50-50 custody to see me. Halloween was a bright spot. Jake dressed as Spider-Man, I as Tony Stark, and trick-or-treating was adorable. Thanks for the support. A commenter asked about the age gap and meeting as teens. OP clarified, I was 14, he was in college, home for summer. Sorry for the confusion. English isn't my first language. 5.5 months later, OP updated. I said my last update was final, but I'm confused. The divorce is nearly done, but David's attitude has flipped. He's now acting like dad of the year. My friend Dean handles Jake's drop-offs, so I avoid David. At first, David was jealous, thinking I was dating Dean, but now he's fine. I worried he'd mistreat Jake, but Jake says David's kind, plays with him, helps him. David's in therapy, apologized, and suggested couples therapy. I declined. He wants to meet at his place to discuss everything, saying it's for therapy. I miss him. He was a great partner before this, but I don't trust him. Jack misses us as a family and cries, asking why I can't forgive David. Should I move past it? He's cut Sarah out. I'm venting and updating those who asked. Thanks for the support. Top comment. This is love bombing. He's targeting Jake because he knows he's your priority. My ex, a diagnosed sociopath, faked change to win me back. Be cautious. Another. He's acting perfect to win you back. Maybe coaching Jake. His past obsession makes this suspect. Don't cave. A final comment. He stalked you for years, orchestrated your relationship. Dating now could push him further. If this was Jake's partner, what would you advise? Get therapy and hold off dating. Soon after, OP updated again. To clarify, 1. The restraining order was temporary, 30 days. 2. David was a great friend and husband before the cheating. 3. Jake's comments weren't coached. I checked. He misses our old life. 4. David would never harm Jake or me. Now, the update, I didn't meet at his place but at a park. He looked depressed. apologized endlessly, and admitted resenting Jake because my focus shifted. He said he'd give up Jake to have me back. We talked for hours. I didn't ask about the illness theory. I don't want to know. We've been texting about Jake, and I'm considering family therapy for him. The divorce is proceeding. David's sad, but not angry. I met a guy at a coffee shop, and we're texting. I'll update if anything happens. A commenter warned, "Dating will show David's true colors. Your relationship was orchestrated. He's obsessed. Hold off dating for your and Jake's safety." Another, "Men can manipulate men too. You're missing red flags. Get therapy to avoid another toxic relationship, especially with Jake involved." This is a deeply troubling story. OP seems to downplay major red flags, like the stalking, the mysterious illness that vanished after adopting Jake, and David's predatory behavior from the start. I hope OP steps back, sees this as if it were someone else's story, and prioritizes their and Jake's safety. David might spiral if OP dates. What do you think? Share your thoughts below. A huge thanks for engaging with today's stories. Your support means everything. See you in the next one. Take care and much love.